That breaking news out of Clayton County, where a shelter-in-place order remains in effect here after a chemical fire. Now, we were first to tell you about this fire this afternoon. We streamed that news for you on 11 Live Plus. It's been happening in Forest Park. We have team coverage for you tonight. Our Angelina Salcido and Grace King there for you on the ground.
All right, let's start off with Grace, who's been out there now for hours tracking all the developments. What are you seeing at this point, Grace?
Well, Forest Park police just said that shelter-in-place and evacuation order is lifted, so people are free to come back to their work, homes, wherever they may be. Again, it was kind of an optional safety perimeter here earlier. Whatever you felt most comfortable with, as long as you weren't outside, as they started assessing the situation. If you take a look behind me, we just saw a lot of fire cleanup restoration crews come by here as they start the fire is contained, but as they start looking at next steps for this facility, they said they have a lot of chemicals in that building that are really reactive to fires. That was one of their main concerns. That's why they're still on scene. That's why they're still checking everything out, looking to make sure everything's good out of an abundance of caution. The State Environmental Protection Division and the Federal Environmental Protection Agency are also here testing for possible water and air contamination. But again, at this point, there aren't any immediate concerns. The main concern earlier, again, were those other chemicals in the building. If the fire were to spread, take a listen.
There are some chemicals that have some high potential of flammability and other things along those lines. So since there was an active fire, what we did not want to create was another situation if one of those chemicals got exposed in another adjoining tank or so forth like that, that might create a larger situation.
And Georgia's PD said they don't have any results they are able to share with us at this point, but they will when they are able. Again, that shelter in place is now lifted for everyone in effect. But earlier, our Angelina Salcido spoke to several people who were affected by that order. Angelina, what did they tell you?
You know, a difficult situation for them, Grace, especially if you happen to be a business owner that is in this area. The businesses that were along Old Dixie Highway were actually closed down temporarily while fire crews were here investigating and trying to contain this fire. So we spoke to the manager of JJ's Chicken and Fish, which is just about 2 minutes away from here. He said that an officer actually came by at around 1 o'clock and told them that they needed to close down the restaurant and send their employees home because they needed to evacuate. He was the very last business on Old Dixie Highway that was closed down, but he says that the response from police was accurate.
It's kind of scary, you know. Hopefully nothing's in the air. I don't really see any smoke, so I'll take that as a good sign. But, you know, as long as I feel like the police and the emergency did a good job.
So a decent amount of concern, obviously, from this manager and for his employees as well. While we were there talking to him, he had a few different customers that were coming up, trying to figure out what was going on. They did put signs on the door to let people know that they were closed. He did tell me while we were talking to him that he was hoping that he was going to be able to open up for the remainder of the day. Now that that shelter-in-place order has been lifted, he's hoping that that is going to be able to happen, reopen, and open to those other businesses and the people that are in this area that are hopefully hoping to get something to eat. I can tell you that while they continue to investigate the cause of this fire, it is still unknown. EPD obviously working to try and figure out how this happened and what kind of chemicals could potentially be in the air. It is windy here, and that wind has obviously been a concern, and that's a part of the reason why the shelter in place was put into place. We're live tonight in Forest Park. Angelina Salcido, 11 Alive News.
Yeah, Angelina, a lot of questions remaining and a lot of people impacted there. Thank you so much. We will, of course, continue to stay on top of this for you throughout the evening as we learn to answer those questions. We'll have coverage continuing here and streaming on 11 Live Plus.